The storm had passed. As sunlight trickled through the dense canopy, the forest seemed to exhale, and the air felt different, lighter, warmer, almost familiar. Under the shelter of a fallen tree, a little girl in a torn red jacket and her tiny puppy, a Norwegian Yorkshire Terrier, stirred. They had survived the night, and as they stepped into the glistening morning, a flicker of hope they hadn't felt before began to grow. The little girl pushed forward, brushing aside damp leaves, her puppy sniffing the wet earth with a wagging tail. They didn't know why, but the world felt less lonely, less frightening. Suddenly, the puppy's ears shot up. It let out a sharp bark and darted ahead, disappearing into the foliage. "Hey, wait for me," she called, hurrying to catch up. And then she saw it. There in the mud was a footprint, fresh, deep, and unmistakably human. Her heart began to race. A sign. Whispering, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement. She knelt. "Mama?" Her small, trembling fingers traced the outline in the dirt. Just nearby, caught on a thorny branch, was a small piece of cloth. She recognized it instantly. It was her mother's scarf, the one she wore the night their world was turned upside down. Clutching the fabric to her chest, she felt a sob catch in her throat. The puppy whined softly, nudging her hand as if to comfort her. They were close. So close. But fate, it seemed, had led them down a different path. What she couldn't know was that just minutes before, her parents had been right there. They had walked through this very part of the forest, their voices hoarse from calling her name, their hearts heavy with worry but driven by a desperate search. Their calls echoed faintly, lost in the rustle of the leaves, never reaching her ears. Back in the present, she stood up, wiping away her tears with a determined hand. They were here, she whispered to her loyal companion. "We just missed them." The puppy let out a small, encouraging bark, its tail wagging with unwavering optimism. The girl who had cried herself to sleep under the pouring rain was gone. In her place stood someone stronger, someone who had found a reason to keep going. She carefully tied the torn piece of scarf around her wrist, a silent promise to herself. "Come on," she said, her voice fragile but firm. "We'll find them. I know we will." The puppy bounded ahead, barking happily, leading the way. They weren't lost anymore. Now, they were on a trail, a path that led closer to home with every single step. Sometimes, the hardest goodbyes are just moments before the sweetest reunions.